Hey guys, back again. So today, let's do my monthly watches, but it's been a whole month as well that I didn't do it last monthly watches. So if you look right here in my letterbox, I've got a couple current movies, but we're gonna go back way back to September because I think I just kind of forgot to do a video on it. So, and I've seen a lot. You could see in September and October, I've seen a whole lot of movies. So let's start with what I saw. The first thing I saw in September was The Exorcist 3 rewatch. Exorcist 3 is a movie that I really love, and I watched it with the Legion version again because again the Scream Factory edition has the Legion cut, which I liked, and I listened to the commentary with William Peter Blatty, and it was more like an interview as opposed to a real commentary, but it was still worth listening to because I'm always a big fan of commentaries on movies, especially horror. So that's definitely one to look out for if you guys do like commentaries. And then, yeah, you can tell this is September because this is whenever Tenet was in theaters. Tenet is a Christopher Nolan movie that I thought was just really boring, and it had a really good letterboxed review I saw on this site where it was somebody said, um, big sound goes boom and cars go vroom vroom vroom. That's the movie, and that's all that the person said in their review is that cars make loud noises, and the sound effects are loud, and that's pretty much how I felt about this movie. It was just a movie that was pretty boring, and honestly, like the sound design was top notch, but in terms of Christopher Nolan movies, this is definitely one of the weakest for me. It's just really uninteresting. I thought it was pretty boring, honestly. Um, and then I watched Day of the Woman, which is I Spit on Your Grave. They call it Day of the Woman on Letterboxd because that's what I guess the original title was, or one of the alternate titles. First watch, awesome, really, really good. One of the best rape revenge movies I've seen. Really, really enjoyed that one. And then From Beyond, first watch. I kind of feel bad because I gave this a 3 stars. I feel like I should give it a little higher because I don't know if I was in like a mood watching this one, but this one out of the three, Stuart Gordon, Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs like collaboration trilogy, this is definitely my least favorite. I feel like Reanimator balances like horror, humor, and everything well, and then in this movie the effects are cool, but I think it's just pretty boring. And in Castle Freak, which you'll see later in this on this list, I liked for the plot and the characters as opposed to horror. So it's weird. From Beyond and Castle Freak are mixed bags for me, but then Reanimator's awesome, and it mixes both all of those elements great in Reanimator. So it's weird to see. Um, but From Beyond is okay. Then I rewatched, or no, I actually watched for the first time the I Spit on Your Grave remake. Really brutal, really gross, and it works in being a modern day remake. It's way more disgusting, and I like that. I like that the movie was that exploitive. Like I thought that was fun. And then I watched Willard from 2003, which I have not seen the original one. This one I think is really pretty effective, honestly. And for a PG-13 horror movie, this is really cool. It actually works really, really well. Really enjoyed this one. Then I watched Coneheads. This was on Netflix. It was a movie I've never seen all the way through. I remember watching parts of it as a kid. Wow, this movie was terrible. I did not like this one. 1 star rating all around. Like, it's definitely one of those comedies that has big actors in it, um, but it's just one that it goes on being we've got a big actor in this, but it's not a good movie, but we're gonna sell it because it's got a big actor in it, and that's all it was. It was not that it was really not funny. I thought it was pretty bad. Then I rewatched Psycho from 1960. Love it. One of the best horror movies ever. Watched the uncut version, which I'd never seen before. Apparently, German cut. And I think in my pickups video I talked about this as well, that it's just the German cut of Psycho where it adds a few moments of extra nudity and extra violence, which which is fine, but it doesn't change anything really in the movie. Um, but no, nothing's changed about that. 5 stars, of course. The Babysitter Killer Queen. It's so weird because I saw this in September, and I keep forgetting how long it feels like it's been because this year's been a drag. It's been horrible. But The Babysitter Killer Queen, really great, fun sequel. Like entertainment value, it is really high. Like I laughed a lot, so much so like I gave this a 4 stars. I just thought it was so entertaining. Then I watched I Spit on Your Grave 2, and this one had a really bad actress in the movie where she took the movie in a way where I just couldn't take it seriously. Like the other I Spit on Your Grave movies, I liked the performances, and in this one, I did not like the performance of the main girl. She was just so obnoxious and so over the top, as opposed to the original, and as opposed to the remake. This sequel to the remake is nothing to do with the first. It's hard to explain because they're all called I Spit on Your Grave. This I Spit on Your Grave 2 is not really a sequel to the first I Spit on Your Grave, the remake. It doesn't have the same girl. I Spit on Your Grave 3 does that, but this one is just kind of a black sheep. Like, it's just about this one girl who gets raped, like the other movies, but it's not the same girl. So it's a weird one-off movie. It had some fun gore. It had some fun over-the-top moments, but her performance just took me out of it as opposed to the other movies. Then I was in a Toy Story mood. Just rewatched the first one because I love Toy Story. It's a movie I grew up with. It's just, and I listened to the commentary by the filmmakers. And then Madman rewatched. This one was really fun. I really am enjoying this more. I gave it a higher rating than last time. I think I had it at a 2.5 stars the first watch, and now it's like 3.5. So I think it's doing pretty well in terms of like rewatchability for me. Then Toy Story 2 rewatch commentary with the filmmakers again. What can I say? It's an incredible movie. And then I rewatched Black Christmas 2019, which I have such a fascination with the Black Christmas franchise. I have such a fascination with these movies because Black Christmas, the original, is such a great horror movie. It's so scary. It's one of the best. And then the 2006 remake is really bad, but really fun. Like, it's really just exploitive as hell. And this one is exploitive as hell, too, in another way. It is a PG-13 slasher with a feminist agenda where you look at this in a way about, and I feel like if I was a woman and I was a feminist woman, like, I would look at this movie and be like, what the hell is this? Like, it's way too strong in how they perceive and how they show the ideas of this, which are not wrong. Like, these characters, especially the main character, is wrong because this character is date raped in the movie, like in flashback before the movie starts. But this character is date raped, and she has to deal with this, like, deal with the trauma of it, which is something that's horrible and shouldn't happen. But the way that they execute this movie and how men are bad, it just doesn't work for me. It's just so over the top, and it's purposefully so. I think question mark. But it's just so fun to watch. This movie is so bad, but it's so entertaining. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, both the Black Christmas remakes, the 2006 one and this 2019 one, are both really bad movies, but they're both entertaining in their own ways. Like the 2006 with the gore and the exploitive ridiculousness of it, and this one in terms of being so ridiculously over the top with the agenda that you can't take it seriously. I really enjoy it. It's a fun time. 3 stars because I just can watch it so much. I really enjoy Black Christmas 2019 in that way. Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Eps, I started to watch those. So Chopping Mall, nothing's changed on that one. Bloodsucking Freaks, Joe Bob Briggs, that's how I watched it. Thanks. Toy Story 3, love it. One of my favorite movies ever. Commentary rewatch. Then Castle Freak, what we were talking about earlier. Castle Freak, I think, has really, really great performances, which surprised me in this Full Moon Pictures movie. It genuinely did. Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs, I have not seen every movie they're in. I've seen them in a lot of horror movies. But this movie, like, shows how great of actors they are, like, in terms of, like, making a dramatic role. And this movie isn't, like, expertly written or anything. It's just a horror movie, but the acting is so good. Like, I was genuinely surprised in how great they can make these emotional performances. Like, it genuinely got me. I was like, whoa, oh my god. But this one is fun. It's like the horror stuff I think is kind of boring about it, but I think that the dramatic stuff is good. And it's so weird to say that in a horror movie, but I like that more. And then Maniac, Joe Bob Briggs watch. Nothing's changed. I rated it lower than before. Whenever I initially watched it, I gave it 5 stars. Now I gave it 4 stars. I still think it's good, but I think I was just fanboying out. The first time I watched it, I was like, this is so good. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, it's good, but it's not amazing. But it's really good, though. Then The Devil All the Time, Netflix movie, ensemble cast. This is a really bleak, horrifying, sad movie. Like, if you don't want to watch this if you're down, but it is worth your time if you're a fan of movies. I think that this is really good. really interesting to watch. Then I watched Ju-on: The Grudge 2. Really boring, honestly. Nothing really special about it. Then I Spit on Your Grave 3. Vengeance is Mine. This is, as opposed to the second I Spit on Your Grave, this one is even worse objectively, but it is even more fun. Like the second I Spit on Your Grave had some fun moments, but I couldn't stand the main girl in I Spit on Your Grave 2. But in this one, you bring back the girl from the first remake of I Spit on Your Grave, and she's having traumatic experience, and then of like killing those guys that raped her and like being raped, and then a friend that she meets one night at a self-help place gets killed and raped off screen, so then she goes and starts egging people on to try to find out who raped her friend, and then she's almost gets raped in the process. And like it's a movie where it's so bad in how it's written, because it's a movie where this character is trying to get information on where her friend was, so she like eggs people on and wears a sexy outfit just to get people to try to rape her, and then she kills them. And I'm like, it is so bad in how it's written. It's horrible, but it is so fun. And I thought it was just, the gore just keeps getting better and better in each of these movies. Like they're just so bad, but they're so fun. 3 stars I gave that. Then I watched Q the Winged Serpent, Larry Cohen film. Really freaking fun. I really liked Michael Moriarty. I enjoyed this one. Then rewatch Halloween, Joe Bob Briggs Halloween Hootenanny episode. Most of these right here you're going to see are Joe Bob Briggs episodes, except for a few. Like Society is one. Society's great. Cam is really good. That was a Netflix watch. Really, really good movie. Exorcism of Emily Rose. I thought this was good, but it's not the type of horror movie that I expected, and I appreciate it for being a movie that's different, but I just wasn't entertained. Then I did a double feature where I rewatched Toy Story 4 with the filmmaker commentary, Josh Cooley, and the producer, I forgot what his name is. And then I watched the short Lamp Life, which is the What Happened to Bo Peep between Toy Story 2 and 4. And it's a really fun story about her just like being stuck to a lamp for her whole life. So she's like mad about it, and she just decides to be what she becomes in Toy Story 4, like a fierce like person who lives off the land. Like it's pretty funny. Like I enjoyed it. And then Body Snatchers from 1993. Meg Tilly and Christina Lees do the famous like Donald Sutherland like big mouth like scream. That was pretty awesome. I enjoy Body Snatchers. Valley Girl is pretty whatever rom-com. Like I just thought this one was pretty boring, honestly. Like I'm not super into rom-coms. I thought Deborah Foreman was good. I thought Nicolas Cage was really bad. That's all I can really say about that one. Bad Moon is not a good movie, but I was entertained as hell. I thought this was such a fun werewolf movie. It's so bad, but it's fun. Then The Bad Seed is really awesome. This one, 1956. I've always wanted to see this movie. I'm really into those killer kid like horror movies. Like I think that's a fun subgenre I enjoy. And this is really good with the acting and really good with just everything about it. Like it's a really well made movie, and I really like The Bad Seed. One Cut of the Dead. This one is a really good movie. Like I said, 4.5 stars. I put it on Letterboxd. It is a movie about filmmaking. It is a movie that you need to see if you like just movies and how movies are done. Like it's a movie where this Japanese film crew encounter zombies, and that's all I'm going to say because I can't really spoil it. And it's not a movie you need to get spoiled. You need to know nothing about it whenever you see it. So it is I'm just telling you, it's a great movie. I recommend it. I know it came out a couple years ago, so I'm late to the party anyways. Deathgasm is pretty fun. This one was ridiculous. I liked this more than Trick or Treat from 1986, funny enough. Alright, next up is The Changeling, Joe Bob Briggs rewatch. Nothing's changed. George C. Scott is great. This movie is great. It's creepy. It's effective. Really love it. Rewatch Madman a second time. Madman's really entertaining. The House of the Devil, Ty West. This is the only Ty West movie I've seen still, and I'm really ashamed because I really loved House of the Devil. This is a really well-made movie. Then Wolf Cop. Wolf Cop was fun. Halloween 4 and 5. Rewatched those because of the Halloween Hootenanny, Joe Bob Briggs, for October. Or I guess it's in September, but still. Now, here we come to a couple Clint Eastwood movies. Or a couple Clint Eastwood movies will come up. So I watched Hang 'em High, which is a Western. I don't really remember much. I thought it was solid. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. This one is really good. Michael Rooker is in it. It's really, really sad to watch. It's horrifying. It's bleak. Really, really good. And then the last movie for September I watched was Contamination. Contamination is this alien ripoff slash spinoff slash James Bond spy movie slash splatter movie slash badly dubbed. It's mostly boring and silly. That's what I said on my review right here on Letterboxd. It has some good effects though. It has some good gore. But it's really boring until the end. The end's really hilarious. Then first movie of no October. I was gonna say November, October. Deep Red. Deep Red I love. My favorite Argento movie I've seen. I've seen a lot of his movies. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen all the big ones that people talk about. Deep Red is my favorite. I think it's just really great. And in my review right here, I talked about how it's a horror movie where you get violence, and every time somebody gets hit, you can feel it, if that makes sense. Like, you can, like, it's so brutal on screen that you can feel the effect happening. Like whenever somebody gets curb stomped, like whenever the guy gets his teeth curb stomped on the shelf, or whenever like somebody gets stabbed in the neck. Like it actually really works in being a really, really effective horror movie in that way, but it's also just a really great movie. I really love Deep Red. And then a movie I didn't love, I watched Street Trash for the first time. I thought this movie was so boring and uninteresting. I wasn't a fan of Street Trash. Then another Clint Eastwood movie, The Beguiled. This one was fun. I liked this one. Or not fun, but it was a good movie. I liked the how effective it was, because it's about a movie about paranoia, about Clint Eastwood going to an all-girls school, finding an all-girls school. He's in the war, and then all this weird stuff starts happening to him. So I enjoyed it. Solid. Then randomly, I went on a Spider-Man kick and rewatched The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie, for some reason, just I love it so much. I love the style. I love the characters. I love everything about this movie. I know it's not a movie that's technically well made, but I think that it's just such a great movie. It's technically not well made because it's so convoluted, and it set up a universe, and then there were no sequels to it because it didn't do what Sony wanted at the box office, and it had mixed reviews for critics. Like, it didn't have positive reviews, it didn't have negative reviews, it had mixed reviews. So it just fell into that category of a mixed movie that a lot of people either love or hate. And a lot of more people hate it than love it, but I love it. I love everything about it. I love Peter Parker going through all this turmoil as a character. I think it's one of my favorite Peter Parker stories in the Spider-Man films, like live action films. Him and Gwen Stacy are great. Him and Harry are great. I like how Harry, even though the movie's of course rushed, I like how the idea of Harry dying, like, to become the Goblin. Like, I thought that was cool, even though that's just an excuse to say we're gonna get the Goblin quicker into this movie and not wait another movie. So, but still, regardless, I really love that movie. It hits me on an emotional level where I don't get much in these superhero movies. So, regardless of the quality of the movie, I just really, really enjoy that movie. Then another Clint Eastwood movie, Coogan's Bluff. This one I don't remember. I gave it 3 stars, but I really don't remember it. Sleepaway Camp, rewatch Joe Bob Briggs, Tourist Trap, Joe Bob Briggs. Nothing new about those to say. Blood Harvest. This one has Tiny Tim in it, and it's really, really terrible. Oh my god, that picture is scary. Look at that thing. I didn't realize that that's the new artwork. Look at that. That is horrifying. Jesus Christ. And then the Iger Sanctum, which is a more memorable Clint Eastwood movie, but it's bad as well. It's so weird. An assassin goes and climbs the Iger. What? Okay. Then I get to my Friday the 13th rewatches because of the Scream Factory box set. So I rewatched 5 first, then I rewatched 1 through 4, then 6. And I actually rewatched 5 again. I watched 5 twice because, of course, I love part 5. It's my favorite one. Rewatched 6 through 8. Then the other ones. I rewatched all the Friday movies except for the remake because that one has no special features that are new or new commentary or anything. There wasn't even a commentary in the old edition of 2009 Friday the 13th, which I want one, but we didn't get one. So I didn't rewatch that one because there's no new material. And there's no new material on Freddy vs. Jason as well in the Scream Factory box set, but I can rewatch that movie anytime. The Friday remake I'm just not a huge fan of. Then Return of the Living Dead, Raid to the Grave, which was terrible. Really, really terrible. And then Scare Package, which is I thought was fine, but it's an anthology movie, so it's not like I'm going to love everything or hate everything. I thought it was just in the middle, like most of them. Joe Bob Briggs Hogzilla. That one is, I gave it a half star. It was that terrible. I did not find it entertaining at all. And Joe Bob Briggs hates it too, and that's funny to have it on a show. That was hilarious. But yeah, it was really bad. Then I watched two documentaries, which were on the Friday the 13th box set, which are Slice and Dice, the slasher film forever, and Scream Queens, Horror Heroines Exposed. Both pretty cool. The Horror Heroines one I like more because I just like seeing where they are now, these actresses, and talking about how it's made an impact on their life. I think that's cool. Then I watched Altered from 2006. I don't feel like people know really what this is. It's a really cool like alien movie that's really confined, and it reminded me of something like 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I love. It's one of my favorite movies. It's not as good as that, but I like this one a lot. Then Slumber Party Massacre 2, nothing different about that. Victor Crowley, nothing different. Rewatched that last month, or I watched that last month as well. I watched it in August, I guess, because it wasn't in September's. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. This is pretty cool, but it's also pretty pretentious in a way where it was just not super interesting throughout. But it was a cool movie, and I liked how it was a different movie that I've seen. It's an Iranian vampire movie. That's pretty awesome. But it was just a little pretentious for my taste. And I say that, and then I have Hello I'm Married to Lou, Prom Night 2, 4 stars out of 5. But I really enjoy this one. I think it's so entertaining. Then again, I rewatched The Exorcist 3. That's hilarious, because I guess I rewatched the commentary, and then I guess Joe Bob Briggs had an episode, so I watched it again. So Madman and Exorcist 3 I watched twice in these 2 months. Then I got the Invisible Man box set, the Universal box set, so I've been watching the sequels, which I've never seen before. So I watched The Invisible Man Returns, which was whatever, 3 stars. A Bay of Blood, Mario Bava, pretty cool. But pretty forgettable as well. Like, it's got some good gore, but it's not throughout. And then I rewatched Brain Damage, which is really fun. Frank Henlotter movie about that slug that like makes that guy hallucinate. Pretty entertaining. Deadbeat at Dawn. This was a Joe Bob Briggs up. Really cool effect. Really cool like old school movie. Then Terror in the Isles, which I watched a lot as a kid. Bought the Scream Factory edition. Really fun. I really like this one. Dead Heat was really fun as well. This is on the Joe Bob Briggs show as well. It's 2 cops, and one cop gets killed and then turns into an undead cop. So like they have to fight against like a greater evil. I thought that was entertaining. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and Shivers. I talked about these in my pickups videos. I think that they were both good or solid. Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hills Have Eyes and Blood Rage I rewatched because of Joe Bob Briggs again. I watched like every Joe Bob Briggs episode like these past 2 months. Every one that was available on Shudder. Some of them aren't available. Like Chud wasn't available, I know, and then there were a couple more. But Chud's the one that comes to my head. And I've seen Chud before. And then Haunt and Hack-O-Lantern. Haunt I liked a little more on rewatch. Hack-O-Lantern I thought was bad. It was an Indian ripoff of Halloween 10 years after Halloween was made, and then it's nothing to do with Halloween, and it's not really it's such a weird movie. I don't know how to explain it. Then I watched 2 movies, The Dunwich Horror and Die Monster Die. Pretty forgettable old monster movies. And then Trauma's War, which is again a trauma movie, so it's somewhat entertaining. Repulsion, Roman Polanski. This is the only film in the trilogy I haven't seen, the Apartment trilogy. Really fun. Just really good, like a really good movie. I really enjoyed this one. Not as much as The Tenant or Rosemary's Baby, but I think it's pretty close. Mayhem, Joe Lynch. I thought it was solid. Hubie Halloween. It was whatever. Good atmosphere, but not really that great. I mean, it's an Adam Sandler movie. I'm not going to expect it to be amazing, but it had a couple funny moments. Tetsuo the Iron Man. This one is really weird. It's Joe Bob Briggs again because I've never seen this movie until I watched his episode on it. Really inventive, cool, weird Japanese movie that makes absolutely no sense, but it's interesting. And then I watched House for the first time for 31 Days of Horror. House is freaking cool. Like, this movie, I've always seen the artwork as a kid. Like, this poster right here I know it's a cat in the movie. I didn't know it was a cat whenever I saw the poster in real life. But, like, this movie is so cool. And I've always looked at that artwork and thought, man, that looks so cool. I want to see that. And I finally got the chance to see it. It's a really good movie. It's a really bizarre movie. it's got the most lighthearted horror theme ever made. Like it is the horror main theme of this movie for a horror movie is like the most lighthearted, like romantic, dreamlike this music. Like it's so strange, but it's so cool. Definitely watch it if you're a fan of films. Like I just think it's a really good movie. I want to watch it again. I might have to buy it on Criterion one day, maybe whenever they're half off. And then I watched Hell Goes to Frogtown, a Roddy Piper movie. It was really just forgettable. It wasn't anything as interesting as like They Live. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. This one I really liked. I know it's a remake. Haven't seen the original. Really liked the characters. Really liked the subtlety. Really liked how you don't see much of the monsters, but I liked it. I thought it was a really well made, fun movie. Like I enjoyed this one a lot. So the last movie I watched for October was Pieces, and Pieces rewatched it, and honestly I thought it was a little more boring than before. Like I don't think it was that great. It was honestly pretty boring. Like I mean there's some good gory moments in it and there's some funny moments, but honestly the movie felt like a drag like watching it again. Unfortunately, I feel bad because I really did like it the first watch, but like I said, it's not a terrible one. It's not an unentertaining one. It definitely is entertaining, but the boringness of it outweighs the entertainingness for me, because I don't like a movie like Pieces for like its filmmaking. Like I just think if it's entertaining or not, and it's not super entertaining. It is in some instances. That's why I gave it like a 3 stars for rewatch. It's not too bad, but it's not great. It's whatever modern entertainment. All right, guys. So if you can tell, there's a difference in the background, and you can tell that I'm not. It's not the same day. I'm assuming. I guess you can't tell it's the same day, but it is not the same day as the other 2 months that I recorded of watches, and this is gonna be, surprise, a 3-month video of every movie I've watched in the last 3 months, because I want to do it every month where I talk about movies I've seen, but I kind of just time slipped away from me, so now I'm going to talk about the stuff I watched in November. So let's get started, and this is definitely not as many as the other 2 months, to be fair. So let's get started. The first I watched was Sorority Babes in Slimeball Bolorama. And this stars Linnea Quigley, and it is a movie off of the Joe Bob Briggs Late Night Drive-In. And I thought it was fun. It was fun seeing Linnea Quigley again. I'm getting tongue-tied here. She's always great. Fun with that. And then I rewatched Black Christmas. Again, Joe Bob Briggs stuff. So Black Christmas and Jack Frost and Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2 are Joe Bob Briggs' one of his Christmas specials on Shudder. So rewatched those. Then I watched Borat's subsequent movie film, and this one is very interesting because the first Borat I saw a long time ago, not whenever it came out, maybe a couple years afterwards. But this one is really fun. Like I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really hilarious. It's a weird movie though because it's one of those movies where it's just so pushed in reality, even though this is not in reality, but what I'm saying is it is so pushed in the reality of how the world is right now, and it's really, really made for that. So it's weird. It's a movie that I think is funny and I enjoyed, but I'm so sick of everything out in the public right now that watching this, like, it was still really funny, but it's hard to watch because I'm just sick of everything going on in the world right now. Like, it is ridiculous. And this movie has that in it, but it's still a fun time. I still enjoyed it. And then I watched for the first time 13 Ghosts from 2001. I haven't seen the original. This one was fun. It was another one of those 2000s Dark Castle films, 2001. And it's got some bad CG, but it's fun and it's silly and it's memorable. And I did like it. I gave it 3 stars. Then I rewatched, so I'm in the big South Park mood now. I've watched South Park since I was a teenager. I love South Park. I held off and have not watched it for a while, so I'm rewatching the whole show because I got HBO Max, and I'm on season 8 already. It's only been like 2 months, but South Park is just so near and dear to me. It's one of my favorite shows ever. And the reason why I'm rewatching South Park again is because I just randomly saw South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut on my shelf. And I was like, I'm going to rewatch this because I love this movie. And it made me watch the show again, so I'm rewatching the show. The movie itself, I gave it 4.5 out of 5. I love this movie. I think it's great. I really I actually watched it twice. It doesn't show that on the letterbox, but I watched it twice. Once with the commentary by Matt and Trey, and then without the commentary, because I love the movie so much. I think it's genuinely so funny. I think it's great. It's funny listening to the commentary. They were saying how it was at a time where South Park was at its low point when it just started, because South Park gets better as it goes along. It isn't as good at the beginning because a lot of the jokes are just repeated jokes. And in this one, it's so funny in this movie because this movie I think is honestly I think better than the first three seasons. Actually, season three is partially up to debate. There's some episodes I think are great, but I think the first two definitely not. But this is a great movie. It's a great musical too. I like how it makes fun of musicals, but it's genuinely really good and really got really catchy songs and songs that do what good musicals do, where they elevate the characters and drive the story. And I think that it does a great job with that. Really love this movie. I after I watched the movie twice, the soundtrack just got stuck in my head all the time. It's so great. Really love that. And then I watched for the first time House on Haunted Hill, which is again another Dark Castle 2000s remake. Well, I guess this is 1999, but this one was weird. I liked it a little less than 13 Ghosts. It's not awful, but it's okay. Then I watched. I never saw this before, and this is the last Eli Roth movie I had to see, which was Knock Knock. And Knock Knock, not looking at it from a good movie standpoint, but looking at it from a standpoint of the villains. Like, I like this movie a lot. I thought that this was so entertaining. These two girls are so horrible, and I like, even though this movie is based on stupid decisions, of course it makes me so angry watching these characters. And Ana de Armas is in here, who's awesome, and she was in Knives Out. And this I don't know if this is her first movie in America, but it was probably one of her first. But I really, really enjoyed Knock Knock. It was such an entertaining time. Not saying it's a great movie because it's not, but it's entertaining. Then I had never seen this all the way through, so I watched Big Daddy. I've of course seen parts of it on TV whenever I was a kid. I thought this was fun. I honestly thought out of all the Adam Sandler 90s movies, this one's probably one of my favorites. 3.5 stars is pretty good for my feelings on Adam Sandler movies. And I do enjoy some Adam Sandler movies. Not counting Uncut Gems, which is different. I love Uncut Gems, but like his comedies, he does hit and miss for me. Like, I really think that the 90s Adam Sandler, he's got some fun ones, he's got some bad ones, but it's kind of like that now. He's got a lot of bad ones too right now. But I really enjoyed Big Daddy. That one was really fun. Then I watched The Mangler, which I really didn't like. 2 out of 5 stars I gave it on Letterboxd. It's got Robert Englund in it, having a hokey, fun performance, but it's really just not entertaining. Like, it's got a couple okay moments, and it's based on a Stephen King book directed by Tobe Hooper, so of course I had to see it. I bought the Scream Factory release for it. It was really whatever. And then I watched Freaky. So I haven't been to the theater in, I'd say, in a couple months. I watched Unhinged a couple months ago. That's the last thing I saw in the theater, and then I saw Freaky. This one is really, really awesome. So it's Christopher Landon again. And Christopher Landon, I really like his Happy Death Day movies a lot. I think they're really fantastic. And I haven't seen Scout's Guide yet. I want to see that now. But Freaky, Freaky's really, I liked Freaky a lot. I thought it was good, but I thought that the thing with Freaky to me, as opposed to Happy Death Day, like, I felt like this was kind of cribbing on Happy Death Day in terms of style, but it didn't have as much that made me love it. Like, I still liked it. I thought it was good. And honestly, I think the main reason why I don't think that this movie is as good as the Happy Death Day movies is honestly because they kind of just kept the movie going at the end. Like, you'll understand when you see it, but I'm like, it kept going. But in terms of style, in terms of fun, in terms of like characters, this movie is so fun, and I like how just fun and entertaining it is. It's a really fun, awesome slasher, and it's rated R too, as opposed to the Happy Death Day movies. So really, really enjoyed Freaky. Like, I thought it was fun. 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I enjoyed it. Then I rewatched Child's Play 2019. I saw Freaky and Child's Play with a friend out of town. And Child's Play I rewatched because that person had never seen it before. I still enjoy it. 4 stars. Like, I think it's a really, really great remake that does in way more different than you would expect from a remake. And it doesn't feel like it's really cashing in on the fact that it's a remake as much. It's still a remake, but it doesn't feel like it's trying to be the same movie. And I really did like that. Then I watched the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which is not a movie, but it's on Letterboxd. I put it on there. Um, I'm looking at the review that I wrote, and I think so. I said I rated it higher than The Rise of Skywalker, which is my least favorite Star Wars movie. The Rise of Skywalker, I'm not going to go on the tangent, but The Rise of Skywalker is the movie that kind of soured my feelings on the new Star Wars trilogy. Like, I really liked Force Awakens and I loved Last Jedi. And then Rise of Skywalker I thought was so corporate made. You could argue that the other two movies are definitely like that, especially Force Awakens. But at least those had heart in them. At least those had great writing, great everything that made it different in Last Jedi, and everything that made it go back to the original trilogy in Force Awakens. Like, those two movies are great. I love Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and then in Rise of Skywalker it was like just the same old, and it was like a greatest hits, but with no heart or soul to it. And rewrote Last Jedi to a way it felt so cheap, like they were not smart enough to make a smart movie like Last Jedi. And I just said I wouldn't go on a tangent, but I did. I try to make it quick. But Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, it's of course better than the original Holiday Special. The original Holiday Special is so bad it's good in some moments, but it's still really hard to watch. It's still boring as hell. And this one is boring too, but I like that it kind of continued from Rise of Skywalker in a way. Like, it's in the Lego universe, but it's still continued on with Rey and Finn training, like Rey training Finn. I thought that was cool. And I like that they did that. I thought that was interesting. But the movie kind of just feels like a modern day Star Wars with jokes that are modern and ones that come from the Star Wars memes, like Obi-Wan Kenobi saying hello there from like episode 3, like those kind of jokes. And that's fine, but it just, the special fell kind of flat. It definitely wasn't bad. It was good. I liked it definitely better than Rise of Skywalker if I'm thinking of the last Star Wars thing I saw. Not counting Mandalorian because it's a show, and Mandalorian is freaking incredible. Love that show. But Holiday Special is good. It's pretty solid. I gave it 3.5 because like I said, it still does good things about it. It's just kind of just too much of a modern day like humorous thing for me, but it still is good enough. I enjoyed it. Then I rewatched, because I bought the Scream Factory, I watched The Funhouse again with Tobe Hooper's commentary. This one is still pretty whatever. Like, I like the atmosphere, but the movie is still, it's not that great in my opinion. Like, it's solid. It's got some good cinematography, some good dread, some good imagery, creepy puppets, but that's pretty much all I remember. I don't remember much from this movie. Then here we start my Invisible Man sequels. So I watched The Invisible Woman, and because I got the Invisible Man Universal Blu-ray set, and The Invisible Woman was interesting. I gave it 2.5. Invisible Agent I gave 2.5 too. I like how both of these movies, Invisible Woman and Invisible Agent, are different, like from the original Invisible Man. I like that this franchise is different every time, using the invisible character, whether it's a woman, whether it's a person who's in World War II. That's really cool. Like, I like those ideas. They're pretty alright sequels. I gave them 2.5 stars each. Then we go back to the Adam Sandler train, and Adam Sandler movies I'm just kind of interested in, just because I can put them on the background. I don't have to fully pay attention to them. It's bad to say, but I mean, I'm not going to fully pay attention to these, but I do like putting them on. I watched I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, which at first I was digging. I was like, this is fun, but as the movie went along, I just got really just annoyed. It stopped being funny. Like, I wasn't really a fan of that one. And then, speaking of another bad movie, I watched American Pie Presents Girls Rules, and this was really purely out of obligation. I saw it was on Netflix, just put it on in the background. It's bad. It's just a movie with the American Pie name on it, and they show like a pie like being made throughout the movie. Nobody has sex with a pie like the American Pie movie, but it still is just one of those Presents movies. And I haven't seen any of the other Presents movies, funny enough, the other American Pie movies like Naked Mile or Book of Love or Beta House or whatever. There's another one too, but I haven't seen any of those yet, and I think I will watch them eventually, but they're not ones that I'm really clamoring to see. But this one was pretty bad. This probably, I'm assuming, watching the other ones, I bet this is going to be the worst one, because it's really tame too. It's not trying to be anything special. It's got Madison Pettis in it, who I remember watching as a kid, like on Disney shows. So it's weird to see her in this kind of movie. This movie that's trying to be raunchy, but it's not that raunchy. Um, it was just really incredibly forgettable. Then on Amazon Prime, I watched this movie called Devil Times 5, which I thought was really cool. It's like a Killer Kids movie from the 70s, from 1974. And I really like the Killer Kids genre and horror. Like, I just think they're fun. And this one was fun. It was enjoyable. It was really cheesy as hell. Like, there were some moments of slow-mo where I was like, oh my god, like, it's taken too long on purpose. But 2.5 stars, I thought it was fine. House Arrest, which is a movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Pollak and Jennifer Tilly. It's a movie where these kids of this family lock their parents in the basement to try to get them to resolve their problems and not get divorced. Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Pollak, and then all the other parents of the friends just go down with them, and like they're all trapped down there while the kids just try to get them to work out everything. I thought this one was okay. There were a couple funny moments. It also has Jennifer Tilly in it too. I forgot to mention. That's cool as well. And it's got Jennifer Love Hewitt also as well. I really like her, and Christopher McDonald and Wallace Shawn. Like, it's got a good cast to it. It really does, and it's fine. Like, it's nothing I'm really gonna remember. It's just one of those parents put into peril, or adults put into peril by kids category, like Home Alone or Dennis the Menace or something. It was all right. And then I watched Mario Bava Black Sunday. I had not seen this before. I don't know what to think about this one. I gave it 3 stars. Like, I think it's solid enough. Like, I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it. I thought it had some good imagery to it, but it just kind of fell flat for me, honestly. And it's not a slasher either, so that's maybe why I'm partially biased, because I really like the giallos that I've seen so far, like Blood and Black Lace. And then I rewatched The Fog from 1980. Again, most of these rewatches are because I bought the Scream Factories of them, so you see a pickups video later of that down the line. But The Fog, I think 3 stars. It's just like The Funhouse. It's another movie by a horror director that's just okay. It's not very special. It's all right. Then, speaking of, similar to Borat, I watched South Park The Pandemic Special because I'm in a South Park mood. And also, I just hate this pandemic thing. So, like, watching this, at first it was annoying, but it was really a funny episode. It was a long episode. It was like 45 minutes, so it was kind of like 2 episodes in one. But it was funny. It had some good jokes to it. Like, I did like it, and I did like how, like most South Park, Matt and Trey Parker don't make it to where one side's right and one side's wrong. They show how both sides are idiots, and I do like that. I do appreciate that, because it pisses me off where we're at in the world right now. And then another Invisible Man movie, The Invisible Man's Revenge, and then Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. Again, I don't remember much about these. They're all right. Then I watched Creep from 2004. It's not the same Creep as the Mark Duplass one, which is good as well. I really like those 2 movies. But this is a movie from 2004 about, like, these people down in a subway, and there's like a creature down there, and it's really good. I really liked it. And then I watched His House on Shudder, and this was a really good movie. I really liked this one. Really good acting. Cinematography is great. Like, it really, really was good. And then Boy Eats Girl, which was a zombie movie. It was fun, enjoyable. 3 stars. I don't feel like there's much really to say about it besides that. And then the last movie that I watched for November was The Unholy, which was a really cool movie on imagery. Like, this movie was awesome. I really enjoyed this one a lot. I thought it was unique as well. It's one of those, like, movies with the priest versus the demon, and I liked that. I thought it was fun, and I liked the ideas they did with it. I liked how it was unique in its own genre. I liked the imagery of it. I thought it was cool. But that is it on my watches for the last 3 months since I just tacked this video on to the other 2. So that is it on all my watches. And pretty much I'm trying to find stuff I'm going to review next year. Like, I don't know. We're in December right now. I'm trying to think of what else I can watch and review next year. And I'm thinking of ideas, so stay tuned for what I'm going to do next. I'd say if there's anything I want to plug right now, is I want to plug my Instagram. All right, so here's my profile, and I really post on this a lot. So if you guys do like Instagram stuff, especially about movies, go check it out. My most recent post are this, like showing my Scream Factory box sets and showing certain movies and video games I've got. So just check them out. Check out my Instagram. That's the thing I'll plug. So that is it on my video for my monthly watches for the last 3 months since I've been lazy. So thank you guys for watching.